Hello and welcome back. It's Recreate Play Hot Lap. We've got a triumvirate today. Myself, Vinyl, Chris. Hello everybody. Hope everybody's having a lovely holiday season. This is the final one for the year, so we thought we'd just touch base and discuss the end of the year, I guess. What a year it's been.
Yeah, it's been a while since our last podcast, so thank you everyone who's stuck with us. Obviously, life happens, and we'd love to be back and all joining as a crew.
So yeah, I guess we have to start at the end, which was the final race in Abu Dhabi, where things just came to a conclusion. We have a new constructors champion. Shall we start there with McLaren?
Yeah, I think it's a great place to start.
Okay, so yeah, McLaren, bring it home. What do we think of their year and their final closing of the season? It was a very exciting way to finish the year. I know a lot of people don't put as much credit with Constructors' Championships once the Drivers' Championship is done, but I felt genuinely this year there was true investment from all the teams to try and get this.
Yeah, I think it kept the wind in the sails towards a run till the end of the season. Like normally Abu Dhabi is a bit of a bit of anticlimax, but I think that having the constructors to the end, it kept the interest in the in the racing, and went down to the wire. Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was good that at least there was still stuff to play for going to the last race, and it wasn't just first and second. There were lots of positions up for grabs in the constructors going to the last race. So it added a layer of interest.
And the first time we've seen a constructors championship in a long time that wasn't going to the drivers champion team, if you know. So that exposed some things that we'll get into later. That highlighted a lot of things and weaknesses in the Red Bull team. But yeah, congratulations to McLaren for bringing it home. So I just get the door. My dog's just tapping on the door.
It's interesting. Like, I think the talk around it's been interesting. There's some people that are saying, they blew it. They had the fastest car. They should have won the drivers and constructors. Other people are saying, what a turnaround in such a short period of time to be contenders. So, it's interesting. There's a few schools of thought, I guess, on their season.
I'm just really happy for McLaren. Yeah. Sorry, Mike.
No. Is Horner and Marco pissed at this situation?
Yeah, and that's why Checo's gone. I think.
Yeah, let's talk about that. I mean, I know it's a bit of a jump around, but let's talk about Checo, guys. Finally, that Mexican pesos has run out, man, and farewell to the Minister of Defense. I mean, it's been a long time coming if you think about it. They were tremendously patient with Checo, given how impatient they've been in the past with their, past drivers that haven't delivered. Yeah, they stuck it out for a long time for Checo. What do we think?
I think the Checo fans can't be disappointed. I know, obviously... Sorry, they're going to contradict myself completely, but obviously they are disappointed. But the opportunity they gave him, I think, was fair. I think the money kept him in the game for obviously quite a period of time to keep Red Bull's patience, ongoing. But they had to call time on it eventually if that was going to continue, and it looked like it was. So they called time. I think that he had a good run.
Well, I don't think. I don't know about good run, but.
Long run, sorry.
He had a long run. They definitely milked him for as long as they could have. I mean, do you think they should have called time earlier?
Yes.
If you're bad at your job, you tend to go soon. I think they gave him a lot of rope, a lot of string to hang himself with, to be honest. And I'm surprised they didn't do it sooner.
Well, they would have liked to, but they just gave him a new contract, multi-year deal.
I mean, isn't that crazy?
They couldn't sign him on a multi-year deal and sack him 2 months later.
But why? That's my point, right? Like, why did they?
Well, he was looking quick. He was actually 4 out of 5 podiums at the start of the season. He was looking quick, so they're like, let's keep the confidence up. Let's sign him.
I remember that at the time,
it backfired, I think. Maybe that's the exact opposite of what he needed. Maybe he needed that insecurity to keep pushing hard. He was like, well, I'm signed. It's all good.
I remember that at the time. Yeah, Horner saying, like confidence and security can do wonderful things for a driver, this contract will help him, and it did not, and he reverted back to the same slump that he was been in for the last 3 years. I mean, he's a really good driver, guys. Like this guy, the first season, people were giving him a lot of credit for, Minister of Defense and all that, and having Max's back, and now, a lot has happened in 3 years, shall we say?
Well, it's interesting. The contrast in contracts is that Yuki's on year-on-year contracts. Yuki's never been offered a multi-year, right?
Yeah.
So they always kept him on tenterhooks, and then they expect him to perform on that as well.
They have treated Checo very differently to other Red Bull drivers historically, I find. You know what I mean? You look at Gasly.
Well, yeah, I agree.
All of, you don't even have to go through the list, but they've all been treated consistently other than Checo. Do you know what I mean? And is that the money from Mexico? Is that Carlos Slim's fat wallet?
Wow. I think that's part of it, but I think you also got to realize that whatever they've been doing hasn't worked. Like putting in a young guy who looks quick, doesn't work. Like they tried that a few times, so they were like, okay, let's try. And I think Checo was only ever meant to be a stopgap for like a year, maybe 2.
Right.
But because it was kind of working, and I mean, they do keep saying it, the most successful Red Bull pairing in history, only because of Max. But I mean, he did. I mean, he had like 4 or 5 wins, so there were moments. And they didn't need him. They didn't need him to be great. They just needed him to be good. And he was good. And he was good for a while.
Yeah, it also shows up how shallow the Red Bull talent pool, which should be brimming with young drivers who are experienced and been through the whole Red Bull program and ready for F1.
Yeah,
is lacking. They should have had people waiting in the wings, and
that's a good point. Yeah. Go on. Sorry, flesh that out, man. I think that's true. I think there's something that is going wrong in the development pool, where they obviously would, as a last resort, hire from outside their talent pool, but they've invested a lot of money in these young drivers, and none of them have, worked out. And then when the drivers do have talent, they've given up on them a little bit too early, or they've promoted them prematurely. Something in that pipeline isn't working, I find.
Well, they should have had a driver to fill Checo's seat. If Checo was truly a stopgap for 1 or 2 years, they should have said, look, you've done a good job, but we've got this new guy, and he's ultra quick and consistent.
Yeah.
Want to put him next to Max. Sorry, Checo, it's been good, but there hasn't been that guy. Wouldn't it seem that Yuki is that guy? Like Yuki's been in the junior team for that period of time. If they didn't believe in him, then is it Honda money that's keeping him there, or they thought he'd get better, or I don't know. It seems to have stalled out.
And I agree, Mike. But it's also that, it's about that guy, right? It's all about having that guy. So you need that to have that guy waiting, and they haven't. Not everyone can have their next fastest guy just waiting in the wings. Everyone wants to find that guy and be the first guy to sign him up. But
they even regroomed, Ricardo, and that obviously didn't work out. So,
I mean, they've been all at sea. They've been really confused. They haven't known how to solve this problem. And I think at least with this, it's back to an old return to form. They're going to be like, look, this hasn't been working. I think the shareholders have said, look, this team is supposed to be a development team for, the main team.
So why have they been so reticent, so stubborn to stick with these RB development drivers when there are so many talented drivers outside that pool that they could grab, like a Carlos Sainz, I'm sure there is no shortage of top drivers. Even Alonso has inquired about that position. Is that the solution, guys? To sit next to Max? No,
I don't think so. I think the solution for them is what they're doing, which is to go back to have Max and have a young, quick guy.
Yeah.
But the difference is that they say to Liam, "You're not this isn't a 3-month gig, and if you're not competing with Max in 3 months, you're out. You're here for the season. As long as you don't crash every race, just keep it clean. You're here to learn this year, support Max, get points for the team." I think they're going to have a different approach, whereas before with Gasly and Albon, it was all about, because they weren't champions then, they were trying to be champions.
Yep.
So it was all about push, push, push. You got to be as quick as Max. We got to win this thing. Now they are champions. They can take it down a notch and say, look, you just got to bring it home and score some points this year. Like, I don't think he's going to have that. I don't think they're going to put the same pressure on him, whether you think that's fair or not, as they did on Gasly and Albon and those guys. Hopefully, for his sake.
Let's flesh out that, guys, because this is juicy. Liam Lawson confirmed. He's got the seat. Wow, even Christian Horner himself has said this is a seat filled with danger. Much danger. Political danger. What do we think, guys? I feel personally Yuki was overlooked. Yuki had outdriven Liam Lawson for much of the second half of the season. But Liam has that magic, that image, that reputation, that potential. And I guess that's what Red Bull rewarded. What do you think, Mike?
Sorry to cut you off, Mike.
No.
I feel like that they need someone who's mentally strong and has elbows out. And I think that he showed, irrespective of speed, mentally strong, elbows out. And that's what they need to put next to Max. Someone who's not going to wither like the Albons or Gaslys, whatever that have been put next to him. And maybe he hasn't got the speed yet and mightn't have the speed because if you look on the pure quali pace and stuff like that compared to Yuki, didn't have it. But he's so young in his career. And if he's can, survive that pressure cooker that's Red Bull initially and be able to thrive in that environment, I think that's the number one thing they're looking for.
Yeah. Chris?
Yeah, I agree. And I feel like Yuki is probably like maybe peaking at the moment. Like Yuki's probably in the best form he's going to have in F1, whereas I think Liam's only had 11 races and he's competing. So you can, I think it's fair to assume that Liam's going to get better. So I think he's probably it's still too early for him. I think it's unfortunate. It's this early. In an ideal world, it wouldn't be after 11 races, but I still think he'll do well. And like I said, I hope they don't put this sort of unrealistic. His goal should be to do better than Checo did this year.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm sure his goal would be higher than that. But if he should just needs to be consistent and get points. Hopefully he'll have time to grow.
Yeah.
So Chris, as team manager, would you put Yuki in for a year and say either make your career or break your career and just say, look, you've put in the hard yards, or you just go, no?
I mean,
because I think he'll break the car. I think he'll crash a lot.
All three of us, when we predicted who was going to get that seat and who deserved that seat, we all said Yuki a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
So I feel like even though Lawson has the potential, more talent, and clearly the big word here is maturity, I feel like Yuki was still overlooked and that he had earned the opportunity. Because it's just, now you lose potentially two drivers. Because, okay, let's forget Lawson for a while, but now Yuki's got no reason to stay, surely.
Yeah, he'll do a Gasly.
Yeah, true.
Right? You've invested a lot of talent in Yuki, who is a solid driver. I think he goes now. He's got no reason to stay. He's been overlooked. He did everything that was asked of him. He has improved his maturity, but they still just didn't see someone that could be a lead team driver. Do you know what I mean?
Never on a multi-year, always on the...
Yeah, they always, I guess, saw his limitations rather than his potential, which is interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I feel like they're the only ones with all the data. I don't think it's a racist thing or
it's a height thing for sure.
Yeah, I think they no, but you know what I mean. They have all only they know. I don't think only they have all the information. And I feel a bit sorry for Yuki. Yeah. I feel sorry for Yuki because he could just say, look, on a performance metric, I'm the man. Like, look at I beat the guy.
I beat him. Let's look at the stats. I mean, but I think his maturity was still an issue. Like him, I can't remember the exact incident. The team radio, the communication. You can only imagine what he's like in the comms in the brief down. But when he accelerated and tried to take out, who was it, Ricardo?
Yeah, the dive bomb on
The
Ricciardo.
dive bomb on
post-race.
Ricardo, that was the kind of things that, like, you know, the team were looking for excuses not to promote him, and he just gave him every excuse to question his maturity. And I felt bad every time he did that.
I
he
agree.
has that glaring psychological weakness that I think.
Yeah, and the clumsy mistakes that stick out, you know, like qualifying in Mexico, like the first corner in Austin during the race, and you know just kind of clumsy racecraft sometimes, and silly errors, you know, that just creep in, but they shouldn't with that level of maturity. Like, you know, you got Stroll on one side, and that's probably a bit harsh, but yeah, you got to be more consistent if you're in the game for a while.
Yeah. And the pressure would only increase, obviously, at that seat too. So it wasn't going to get any easier. So
I still think it's the right decision.
do you? I mean, only a few weeks ago you were going for Yuki. So what's the change?
I think the change is, I guess, the potential. Like, I feel like Yuki is as good as he's going to be, whereas Liam's untapped potential, we don't know.
Yeah.
And like Mike said, you know, I think he's got the attributes to not fail badly. You know what I mean? Like, he's not. I don't think he's going to crumble, or, you know, I think he's going to tough it out and have that mental toughness. So, provided Red Bull give him a bit of time, I think he could be a really good teammate. I think it could work really well for Red Bull.
I think Bill and Chris's point is that, like, Lawson wheel to wheel was solid without being like, he had a couple of clumsy errors, but the overall wheel to wheel, I think he was pretty solid, and he gave as good as he got, kind of thing, and it wasn't. He performed better than a rookie would normally do, maybe in that situations.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to read some quotes from Horner.
Okay.
There's a process. We all have shareholders. You make a recommendation, and the shareholders have always been tremendously supported. Liam's a product of our junior team and is a young talent that we took on 6 years ago and nurtured him through the lower formula as we did with Vettel. I think we're seeing in him a character and a robustness to deal with the pressure of being Max's teammate. He's only done 11 Grand Prix, but we impressed us and the engineering staff, and of course, so the main words he's saying there are character and robustness. I think that's what we're saying, right? We're agreeing with that.
Yeah.
And he mentions Yuki here. He's more motivated than ever. He wants to prove us wrong. He's got a lot of talent. Yeah, and as you said, we just felt Liam's trajectory that he's on in the short space of time he's had, together with his mental strength. So he keeps on repeating the words mental strength.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's what we were talking about, I think. Like, we covered that, and that's what it came down to in the end, and that's a big part of F1, I guess. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, form in any sport. Like, you know, the car might be the same, but it's how are you going to get that extra 1/10? Right?
How do you think Liam will perform against Max now that he's in the big seat? What are your expectations in terms of end of year, when we look back at this in a year's time? Where will Liam be up against Max?
Like at the end of next year, you mean?
Yeah. How do you foresee Liam's season going? What are your expectations? Top 5, top 4, top 3?
Top. I think
what would be a good season?
I think if he's top 8, it's a good season.
Really?
Because I'm expecting I think the top 4 teams will be close. Mm-hmm. Like Ferrari, Merc, McLaren, Red Bull. So I think if he's top 8, that's a good result. I don't know.
Really?
I don't know. It depends.
Mike,
Depends
what do you
who's
think?
weakest next year. I don't know.
What would you consider a good season comparative to Max?
I think good season is within 4 to 4.5 tenths in qualifying.
Yeah. I was going to say half a second. Yeah.
If he can be within that, I think that's a good season.
That's a few places.
Yes, it's a few places, but I think that, like, if he can do that consistently, as opposed to being like 6.5 tenths and then a second behind and then really wilting, I think if he can keep that kind of intensity, that 4.5 tenths, and if he gets closer, then great. But, you know, it's his first season F1. Like, he's going to have to learn the tracks. He's going to have to learn the cars. He's going to have to learn, tire deg and everything.
Yeah.
And like, I think touching back on that, like Red Bull Young Driver Academy mental toughness, like they've had a lot of drivers that haven't been mentally tough. They've had the speed. They've had, think of Dan Tickton.
It's a pressure cooker.
Dan Tickton was like the new, at one stage was like the new guy, and he was really fast. And he's in Red Bull Junior program, and he was doing F1 testing. And then but the guy was just an entitled prick, right? So and then he just went off the rails. And is that the Red Bull program kind of nutted out? Like fast, young Prince drivers that unfortunately can't quite hack it when they get to F1.
Yeah.
Sometimes. We don't get to F1 because of that reason.
Let's close it with some Yuki Tsunoda quotes and some quotes from social media.
Okay.
If they choose Liam, that'd be weird, said Yuki. Liam did a really good job when he drove in the team, but I did more than that. Social media. Lawson didn't prove himself better than Yuki. Another quote. As at first, it feels wrong, but we will see. Let's hope he's performing how he should. And another quote, Lawson lost 6-0 to Yuki, and that's good enough for him to win the seat. Lawson needs experience not to be thrown in the deep end like this. That's interesting. Another quote, Yuki deserved it more, I feel for him. And the last quote, absolute jerk. Yuki deserved the seat. So I think social media is going to be pretty, unless you're a Lawson fan, Yuki's a popular driver. So it'll be interesting to see. Yeah. I think the pressure will really be on Liam from within and without. So if he can come through, be solid, consistent, that'd be great. That's what they need from him, to be consistent and solid, really, as you're saying. So yeah,
I don't really get the whole he's too young, too early kind of arguments, because they're not complaining about Antonelli on the other side of the coin, are they? They're not going, Antonelli's too young, Antonelli's too inexperienced.
True.
It's only because they kicked out Yuki out of the seat that they're pissed off, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Exactly. Maybe that's it. That there isn't, another driver waiting in the wings that they could have gone to. But yeah, it's an interesting comparison. I like that. All right. Okay. Speaking of news around the paddock, Valtteri has got a new job, which is his old job, but a demotion from his old job. Is it a parallel?
You still get to speak to James? Is James still there?
Yeah. Valtteri. So Valtteri gets to go back to Mercedes as their third driver. This is interesting, having an 18-year-old punk take your job. What do you think of this?
Well, both young guys taking his job, right? George Russell, the slightly less young
guy. Right? Yeah, what do you think of this as a story? We happy for Valtteri? Is it the right move, wrong move? How we feel?
The right move.
Yeah.
But there's no bad move at this point in F1 for Valtteri. Like, I think he just wants to hang around.
Yeah.
Really good move for him. Fantastic move, and I think it's a good move from Merck. I think he's a good driver. He's obviously got all the experience in the world. Like,
safe set of hands.
Yeah,
he knows the team. I think it's an interesting pick. I think it's almost like they're bringing him in as a mentor for Kimi.
Yes,
I feel like
exactly. I feel the same way, Mike. Driver coach.
Yeah, driver coach.
A bit of Finnish cool-headedness in the garage.
And I think it's a really smart, slick decision, because Kimi's going to have his moments next year where he's going to be packing it and shitting his pants. And just to have someone who's as experienced and respected as Bottas to say, okay, take this corner in third and then da-da-da, you know what I mean? All the little minutiae that drivers need to know, that's a great choice, I think, Yeah. There isn't many experienced drivers, more experienced than old Valtteri, and I think he may not be in the same prime where he can hold an actual seat for the top team. So this is a good landing spot for him, I think.
Yeah. And there's a good chance that he might get a race or two. That's the thing. The grid's so
most definitely.
The calendar's so packed. Like, guys are getting sick, and you only need to get a cold and you're out. Like, so it's a good chance he can get some points too. He didn't get any points this year. He might get more points next year than he got this year.
Yeah, true that.
Yep. If the Merc damage field goes up and Antonelli's in the wall a few times under medical supervision, can't race the next race, and Valtteri's there.
Yeah, it's not an unlikely scenario. You know what I mean? That could really happen. I think Valtteri's. Yeah. Does he sabotage his apprentice? Who knows? He and George Russell. That's going to be kind of juicy. Is he a prick
Yeah,
or
it's gonna
what?
be juicy.
Well,
Replays of Imola in their spare time. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. That's going to be
Yeah.
fun.
I'm sure he'll be leaning over George, patting him on the helmet at every opportunity.
Shit, yeah, man. I still can't get over that, man. I didn't like the disrespect from George on that day, man. He deserved to smack up the head. Would have been
yes,
Ah, totally.
yes.
something that George has needed earlier on
Yeah.
in his life. He needed that, man. Everyone needs a slap in their head at some stage in their lives. Some earlier,
Yeah.
some later. George,
That's true.
happy to deliver it to you if you need it any day of the week. Anything else on Valtteri Bottas's move? Any other takes we want to touch on?
Yeah, no, I'm just happy he's still on the grid, like Valtteri. I think he's one of the nice guys. So, yeah, happy he's still around.
Yeah, it's got that dry, Finnish sense of humor that we enjoy, I think. There's not many characters left on the grid, eh? So the more...
He loves Australia.
Yeah.
He's an honorary Australian. He's got the mullet. He's got the Australian girlfriend. He's
Yeah.
hanging out at Dover Heights like I think 3 days ago.
Really?
Yeah, he's Australian.
here?
Yeah,
Doesn't he
Yeah.
have a place in Byron Bay or something?
I'm sure they do own property here. He's always here. Like, yeah, he
Yeah, he's
spends
always
his
here, loves
summers
it.
here. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. And Lewis Hamilton says his farewells to Mercedes. They rolled out the red carpet on his Ferrari red carpet on his exit.
Silver carpet, I think, is the
Yeah,
phrase.
man, like far out. They gave him a lot of nice treatment on his way out. They gifted him, I think, a W8, W9. There aren't any W11s left, wholly complete. But they treated him like the king, the 7-time champ he was. I think
yeah.
What do you
They
think?
really pulled out all the
Yeah.
stops.
they pulled out
I think
all
I
the
saw the Carlos
stops.
Sainz video. They saw the Carlos Sainz YouTube video, which was quite emotional from Ferrari. And I think they thought, oh, we've got to outdo that. And then they put out this series of videos more and more thanking Lewis.
Danke.
It was-
Danke, Lewis. Danke.
times 10.
Man, it was almost
pretty
over the
wild.
top. It was crazy, but
It was.
over the top for us, not enough for Lewis. I'm sure he could have endured a lot more glory and thanks on his end. He loved it.
Yeah.
I mean, look, it's the greatest dynasty in the history of F1, so deserves to
fitting.
be sent off. You know,
I'm glad they went out like this rather than with, animosity. You know what I mean? This was a classy farewell from a classy team. I think it speaks well of the
Absolutely. Imagine
team
if
that
it was
Mercedes
Brazil.
is.
What would have happened? Like that would have just been an ugly scenario.
right.
Yeah, well, I'm glad he had a few strong weekends at the end of the year. Yeah, very well could have been ugly. Like so, yeah.
And George gifted him the Abu Dhabi pass and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So, our final topic of this episode was going to be rookies of F1. Kick us off.
Yeah. Well, big list on the grid for next season.
Okay,
I don't know if
let's
they're
go
not
through
all
them.
technically
Aussie, Jack
rookies.
Doohan.
Okay, we've got Jack Doohan. Let's kick them off from the top. Mike, who are the rookies next
Okay.
year?
Sorry. I haven't got the screen up.
Okay, we've got
Sorry.
Kimi Antonelli,
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Jack Doohan,
Jack, Oliver Behrman, not
Oliver
technically
Behrman.
not a rookie season, I guess.
yeah,
And who's the state guy? I
Bortoletto.
forgot. Bortoletto, that's right.
Bortoletto for steak.
Yeah.
Bortoletto and Isaac Hadjar. Has he come on as a?
Oh yeah, he's
a
going to start
reserve
for
driver?
RB. RB.
Yeah, he'll be-
RB.
He'll be Lawson's replacement, yeah. So
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
crazy. Another rookie.
Crazy.
He's French
Yeah, that's
Algerian.
good.
I don't know much about him, and I don't know much about Gabriel Bortoletto. But that's 1, 2, 3, 4,
it's 5.
5.
Not 5. Yeah.
Yeah, 5
If the
rookies.
Brazilian crowd have their way, it'll be Drugovic as well.
Yeah.
No, I feel like Drugovic deserved a seat somewhere on that grid, but obviously wrong time, wrong place. Let's go through those 5 rookies, not including Liam Lawson, who's didn't get a full rookie season. But okay, Kimi, Jack, Oliver, Bortoletto, Isaac. Which of those drivers will outperform their car the best? Give me a name, boys, each. Who will be the rookie of the year? That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm hoping Doohan, and I think it's going to be a lot easier for him than it's going to be for like Antonelli to outperform their car. So yeah, I don't know.
I'm gonna. Man, if I'm going to go on total limb and say Hadjar
Okay.
because he's like fast but wild, like a Colapinto sort of style character. Like,
Yeah.
but from his speed point of view, but he's just from all that I've seen, he's a bit of a hothead. So he's going to be the hothead team with Yuki. And
Wow.
I just see like the fireworks going off. If he's faster than Yuki, I think Yuki's going to lose his mind being beaten by a rookie, and he's going to be trying his hardest to beat Yuki. It's just going to be,
I can
on.
see it. I can
It's
see it
gonna
already. That French Algerian blood coursing through his veins. I think I'm going to pick Ollie Behrman, I think. I haven't seen a lot of him, but what I've seen is he's rapid. I think he's
I like
in a
his
good...
style.
Yeah, he's in a good seat that won't be too much pressure, unlike, say, Kimi, where I think it'll be tough. It'll be tough. So I'm going to pick Ollie as my Rookie of the Year. Chris, did you want to put your name down for a Rookie of the Year pick?
Wow, I'm gonna. Maybe this is going out of limb and say Antonelli. I don't know. Maybe he's.
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe
he's
he
going to
is
have a
that quick.
great car.
Like
Yeah.
so he might get a win. He might get a couple of wins. I don't know.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah,
But yeah,
Crazy.
I think he's going to be good. I think so.
For bonus
Hype is
points,
not unjustified.
How many times will Behrman be in the wall thanks to Ocon?
Yeah, well, good question.
What a horrible teammate to have in your rookie freaking year.
Singapore. Should we say Singapore? Should we say, I don't know, Spa
Man.
Francorchamps? Should we
That would
say
just be the
Monaco?
worst. We just talked about how good having like Bottas would be as your mentor. Freaking
Yeah.
Ocon, dude. That guy's gonna put
Oh.
he's gonna piss in your gas tank. That guy. Oh, I can't think
it's
of a
gonna be
worse
tough.
mentor. It's gonna be tough for the young fella.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything to add, guys, for this ep? We ready to close it up?
Yeah, ready to close
I
up.
think
I'm
that's
super
it, man.
excited. Like, even though we're going to the off season, like it's just I'm so keen for next season. Like,
Yeah, it's gonna be a good one.
Off season is going to be quick.
A lot of new faces.
Yeah, a lot of new faces. A lot of
Yeah.
sort of jeopardy about what's going to happen.
And if it ends the way
Keep
this
their
season
form,
started,
everything.
it might be the most competitive season, fingers crossed, that we've had in a while. Do you know what I mean? It
Yeah.
looks like a lot of the teams might be a lot more evenly matched. They've caught up to the regulations. I'm pumped.
I'm
always
gonna
pumped.
put it out there. Most different race winners of any season next year.
Wow. Since like 2011, I guess. That would be the last time we had
Yeah, I'd say
like,
so. Yeah, like
multiple.
10 or 11. Yeah.
Yeah.
How many races in until Lewis Hamilton gets his first victory for Ferrari?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, good question.
Ooh, beating Charles Leclerc.
I'm going to say
Monegasque
7.
Prince.
I'm going to say 7.
Okay.
I'm going to say 7.
Yeah,
I think he
I
will
get-
get a couple of wins next year. I think he'll outperform what Carlos did, but I don't think he'll be as fast as the Monegasque.
Okay. Yeah.
But I think he'll do very well. I think he'll do. I think he'll be motivated. You know, this season I just felt like he wasn't motivated at all. You know,
Yeah.
He
And I
was
get it.
clearly
It must
out
have
the
been
door.
super hard.
yeah.
Like his speech at the end of the British Grand Prix, saying that he didn't know if he still had it in him.
Oh, that
Yeah.
was un-Lewis like,
Yeah.
wasn't it?
Yeah.
And it's just me. I'm just slow, guys. I'm just slow every weekend. Just me. Like, what?
Yeah. All right, guys, we might close it there.
Yeah.
Stay with us because we're going to have an end of the year recap where we're going to have awards for our favorite drivers, the least favorite drivers. So hang on, there's going to be a lot more content before the end of the year. But from the pit crew and all of us here at Recreate, Merry Christmas, have a safe holidays, stay close to your families and eat a lot of food, drink a lot of alcohol, have fun, guys. Much love from us. We've appreciated you. Anything else, guys?
Thank you for
Wanna say-
staying along.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for joining us on the ride. It's been fun.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
guys.
Appreciate it.
Kimmy, you missed the presentation. Will you get over it?
I was having a shit.
Okay, thanks for that.